All right, my friends, we are back with another vlog every day in August entry. Today's vlog number 111, and we're back in the car, but this time I'm with a different family member. My daughter Megan is driving, and we are gonna do Q&A today, but the Q&A, or the Q part of the Q&A, is not coming from the community. Instead, I've come up with a couple questions to ask Megan, and Megan has come up with a couple questions to ask me. So that's how we're gonna do things today. And the first question goes to Megan. Megan, what qualities do you look for in a friend?
I look for people that are loyal and supportive and just kind in general. A lot of my friends have those qualities. I don't really like to be around negative people or people that don't see like the good things in life. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, now it is Megan's turn to ask me a question. Megan, what is your first question?
What skill would you like to master, and why haven't you yet?
I would say right now, a skill that I would like to master is video editing. It is something that I've been working on a lot lately. What was the part B? Why haven't I yet?
Yeah, why haven't you?
It just hasn't been a priority for me up until now, but my desire for video editing goes beyond just creating content for my YouTube channel, although that is a very important piece of the puzzle, but also video editing for my tutorials that I create for other people. So I create these digital products that people buy, and I just want to make sure that those products are always as high value and have quality production as possible. All right, next question is for Megan, and I'm gonna have to read this one. What was it like to dance in the Macy's Day Parade in New York City compared to the Christmas parade at Disney World?
So the Macy's parade was a lot colder and a lot earlier. We had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and then wait outside the Natural History Museum for 3 hours. I don't really remember the Christmas parade a lot. Honestly, it was freshman year, and we went down. It was at the beginning of December, so it wasn't live. We reshot a lot of stuff. We did multiple takes. We had to start over, but in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, it's live, so you can't really do that. So if you mess up, I mean, it's on national television for everybody to see. The Macy's Parade was a lot higher stakes, I felt like, because it was live and it was on Thanksgiving and there were millions of people watching. Like, the whole morning feels like it took 25 minutes. But really, I got up at 3:30 in the morning, and I think we finished the parade at like noon. Like, we were back at the hotel at noon and I took a nap. It was my 17th birthday and I took the fattest nap of my life. Yeah, but it felt like it was 25 minutes long. Where the Disney parade, it felt like it took all day because we redid things a lot. What is your favorite childhood memory? And what is your favorite memory from my childhood?
My childhood was quite some time ago, and I don't know that I've ever given this much thought. I know one of my scariest childhood memories, I got stuck in an elevator when I was a little kid, and that was the freakiest thing in the world, and I was scared of elevators for probably maybe even a year, maybe even 2 or 3 years after that. I guess I have a bunch of different things, but none of them stand out as my favorite. But I just remember going to Kings Island amusement park and always the excitement about that, around that. I remember going to just hanging out in the neighborhood with my friends in the old neighborhood that I lived in behind the airport in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky airport. Just getting on my bike and being free all day long, no responsibilities seemingly, all just the carefreeness of being a kid. My fondest memory of you growing up is not from when you were a child.
Okay.
But my favorite memory is when you and actually you texted me one day and you said, "Hey Dad, can we go to New York City and see Phantom on Broadway?" And I texted you back, and what did I say?
You're like, we'll have to find time for that. I was in science. I was in my freshman year science class, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'll ask my dad if we can just go to New York, because that's what we were talking about. And you texted me back almost instantly, and my friends were shocked by your answer. They're like, no freaking way. And then maybe a month and a half later, we were in New York for the weekend?
That for me is my most memorable time because it was just something that I've always wanted to be able to do for you, because I know that you've always wanted to go to New York City. And I know that in the first few years of this business that I did not get to spend as much time with you in some of your more formative years, and I felt really bad about that. And so now that the business had picked up, I figured I'd love to be able to make that dream come true for you. And that was the most awesome time. Speaking of New York City, my next question for you is, what is it about New York City that you're attracted to?
How many people there are, and how they're not all from New York City. They come to this one place to, it sounds like cheesy, but to like live their dream. And there's so many people that are there performing, or that just they're working, and they've always wanted to live in this city. And all these, they come from all over, and New York City is just this diverse place with so many different people from so many different places, and everybody's there for a reason. And I think that's one of the coolest things about New York City. I love being on Broadway, and I love seeing shows and watching actors perform live in my favorite shows. That's one of my favorite things, going to New York and seeing a show. I saw Phantom with you, and I saw Waitress when I went with my choir, and I saw Wicked on Broadway also when I went with my choir, and I saw School of Rock on Broadway when I was there for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I just really love watching those shows live. They give me a feeling that you can't really describe, because it's just, I don't know, it's just something I love so much. I just like watching other people perform, I guess.
All right, your turn to ask a question.
Okay, if you absolutely had to get a tattoo, what would it be of, and where would you get it?
Well, that one's easy to answer because I am absolutely terrified of needles, and there's absolutely no way on earth you could convince me to intentionally stick any needles anywhere near my body if it was not medically necessary. So the answer to that question is I would not.
Okay, if needles were not part of this process, what would you get a tattoo of?
I wouldn't. That's my answer. I would not. I've never been a fan of tattoos.
Okay.
And that's just not something that's ever been a desire of mine.
All right.
And I just can't think of anything that I would think of. If it comes down to art, I'm so particular about how things look, and there's absolutely no way to see how things look until it's actually done. I know that artists can do all kinds of templates, and they can give you, the rough draft, and they can stencil it and all that stuff and fill it in. But the reality is you don't know what it looks like, the shade of the color, everything until it's permanently done. And then by that point, it's too late. You can't change anything. So, if it's words, the question is what font is it? And is the font going to be messed up? Is it going to be off balance? Are the letters going to be... there's just no way that I would want to put that on my body. I'm too much of a perfectionist for that.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, this all just boils down to you being a control freak.
My next question for you is, what was your favorite part of our 2-week family vacation in Europe?
I have so many favorite parts of that vacation. I loved when you guys surprised us with Disneyland Paris tickets. Those were awesome. And I loved when we went to the Anne Frank house. We went to Amsterdam specifically to go to Anne Frank house because I begged to go. I read the book in 8th grade, and I was always really interested in the story, and being there, like seeing where it actually happened was really, really cool. I think those are the two that really stick out from that trip. How did you feel the day that I was born, and then how do you feel now that I'm about to turn 18?
The day that you were born, I was a mixed bag of emotions. I had never been more excited in my life. I was nervous about how I would handle being a father, the responsibility of it all. But I was absolutely overwhelmed with joy. That I would say I had every emotion you could possibly imagine all wrapped into one, but overwhelming joy and excitement would be how I would say, I would give its overall description of how I felt.
Okay.
And as far as now that you're turning 18, becoming, I guess, what the culture would consider you to be an adult, or at least a young adult anyway, I would say that I'm incredibly proud. And I'm proud of who you are as a person. One of my favorite moments of watching you that just stands out in my mind was we had a meetup in San Diego when we went out for Social Media Marketing World. And we had this meetup with people in my community who had come out at this restaurant. And I just remember sitting there watching you carry on conversations with these grown adults and just how you handled yourself in that situation. And of course, ever since then, I've just seen you around other people, and I know that at home there's a lot more freedom, and the way that we interact with each other at home is sometimes interesting. One thing that I am very proud of is that when you're out in public, you carry yourself well, and I'm proud to call you my daughter.
So close. My
final question for you is, what do you want to be when you grow up, and why?
I don't know. This question is so hard. Nobody can know. I'm 17 years old. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know the answer to that yet. I would love to tell you that I would love to be a history teacher and a history major in school, but I'm still not 100% positive if that's what I really want to do. They filled these holes. That makes me so happy. They filled the potholes on campus. I really don't know what I want to do yet, but I guess I'll figure that out soon. Hopefully this year, but who really knows?
Can I share with you my thoughts on that?
Go right ahead.
So, first of all, I think that that's the best answer you could possibly give. And I can tell you right now that most people in their 30s and 40s don't know what they want to be when they grow up. And I don't think that it's important or essential that you actually know at this point in your life. For those who are your age, who absolutely know, and it's been a dream of theirs since they were a kid, and it's something that they just can't shake, I think that's awesome, and I think that happens for some people. For most people, it doesn't happen that way. In fact, a lot of people feel the pressure to pick a major and say, this is what I want to be when I graduate college, and they go to college and they spend all this time and they actually get their degree and they get put into a position where they're actually living that. They're making a living from it. And some of those people get into the position where they're making lots of money from what it is that they said they wanted to do, and they accomplished it. But it isn't until after all of those years were invested that they realize and recognize that that's really not their true calling. It's not their true passion. It just seemed to be maybe a responsible path to take. But now that, you know, financially they're taken care of, all of those other things, I'm finding in my line of work a lot of people who are unfulfilled in their life because early on they were forced and pressured into choosing a career path when they weren't quite ready to do so. And today they feel like they've wasted a great portion of their life because they're not necessarily doing the work that they feel most called to do on this earth. And they're now trying to figure out, how do I start over at 50? How do I start over at 60? But I just think it's awesome, and I don't think that you should ever worry about it. If you don't figure out what you want to do with your life until you're 35, I think that's perfectly fine, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
My final question is, as a dad, what is your favorite quality that you have passed down to us? Now, we might not all three have this quality, but what is your favorite quality that you have passed down to us?
One of my favorite qualities is to question authority. Although I can tell you right now, as your dad, it absolutely stinks that you have picked up this quality. But I think that not accepting things for what they've always been is awesome. I think that it's awesome that you guys think that, hey, I know that these rules are in place. I don't understand them, I don't agree with them, and I think we should change them, and I want to try to convince you to do so. And I think for you, Meagan, that specifically you, I think you have that quality more than any of your siblings, but I think they also have that quality as well, and I'm very happy with that. I think also, I have not yet seen it exhibited in Matthew or McKenna because they haven't started working yet, but I have seen it in you, and I think it's your work ethic. And by work ethic, I mean just your commitment to saying, hey, if I'm going to work a certain number of hours, I'm going to work those hours. And if I need to work extra hours because it's going to help the business, then I'm going to work extra hours. And I see you really committed to your job. I don't ever see you showing up late. The thing is that you don't call in sick. You don't show up late. When you're scheduled to work until 10:30, if things aren't done until 12, you work that without complaining. Well, without always complaining.
Without complaining until I get home.
But your work ethic, or my work ethic, which I got from my dad. I hope that all three of you are able to pick that up, because I think it's important to work hard. Meagan, what do you think about this idea of vlogging every day?
I mean, if I have to watch them every day, it's gonna be hard, but...
Do you watch them?
I've been watching them. Yesterday
Really?
was 19 minutes long, yes. Or was it 21 minutes long? And I was like, whew!
Yeah, but it had this hot chick in it.
Yeah, I only watched it for her.
Any final words of wisdom for everyone out there? If you want to leave them with some kind of encouraging word or motivating thought, inspirational quote of the day, anything like that at all?
Don't get in a car with Cliff Ravenscraft, because he'll just complain the whole time that you're driving. And then edit it out. Slow down. You're going too fast. I'm going the speed limit.